Get ready for some backstage comedy beef behind the laughs. In this video, we see Katt Williams bring the heat with explosive accusations against Steve Harvey. Harvey tries to play it cool, but can't resist firing back. Meanwhile, rapper Boosie joins Team Katt, and even Bernie Mac's daughter gets involved. It all started decades ago with the legendary kings of comedy, Harvey, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and Hughley. Massively successful on stage, but behind the scenes, not so much. Especially between supposed alphas Harvey and Mac. Now fellow funnyman Katt Williams is spilling all the tea, claiming Harvey was jealous of Bernie and tried to undermine him. But Harvey says Bernie denied it before his death. Is someone lying? Fast forward to today, where Katt lights up Harvey again in a wild interview. Harvey vaguely claps back on social media, and Boosie jumps in to defend his man Katt. This beef ain't dying down anytime soon. With big egos and bigger laughs at stake, it's about to go down. Let's dive into the drama. The comedy world was rocked when Katt Williams gave a bombshell interview on Club Shay Shay with NFL legend Shannon Sharpe earlier this month. Williams held nothing back, spilling piping hot tea on the biggest names in comedy, including Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish. But he saved his harshest attacks for actor, TV host, and relationship expert Steve Harvey. Williams lobbed accusation after accusation at Harvey, from calling him jealous of Bernie Mac's success to claiming Harvey stopped doing stand-up after losing a supposed comedy battle to Williams himself. The interview instantly went viral, with clips spreading like wildfire online. At first, Harvey seemed content to just ignore the inflammatory comments from Williams. But as the interview continued making waves across the internet, Harvey apparently felt compelled to respond. Days after the interview aired, Harvey fired off an intriguing tweet, writing, "You don't have to address your haters." The vague tweet suggested Harvey was taking the high road for now, but he didn't stop there. In an accompanying video, Harvey doubled down, stating,
Like, I got somebody really attacking me right now. I mean, really going after me, man. I'm just waiting to see what God gonna do.
So while Harvey never mentions Katt Williams by name, it's clear he's referring to Williams' verbal onslaught against him. And if you thought this was the end of Harvey's clapback, think again. He followed up with another video, turning up the heat even more.
Sometimes the oppositions come from the most unsuspecting places. Sometimes, man, you gonna get blindsided. But you gotta understand how the devil works, man. The devil is evil. He don't fight fair. This thing in life, that's not fair what they saying about me. That's not fair what they doing about me. And it wasn't fair how they did Jesus, but they did it anyway. You are not going to get away through this thing called life without opposition. But let me say this though. Be careful when you hear something that's laid out to be the truth. And because the person that's telling you what they say is true is speaking eloquently, don't be deceived by that. There are some people who know how to lie so well. They know how to sprinkle in just enough truth and wrap it inside their lives where they got you thinking that somebody telling the truth. Beware of that, people. You can't be righteous and negative at the same time.
The gloves are off, and this beef is just getting started. With two comedy kings at war, the drama is set to explode. Let's dig into the origins of this clash and see where it goes next. The original kings of comedy. The seeds of this clash were planted back in the late 1990s, when producer Walter Latham had a bold idea. Bring together the funniest stand-up comedians for a massive arena tour, instead of just having them play small comedy clubs. Latham assembled a legendary lineup for this tour: Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, and later Hughley. In interviews, Latham revealed his original concept was for a Def Comedy Jam reunion, not specifically the Kings of Comedy. As Latham stated,
it didn't start as a Kings of Comedy idea. It was a Def Comedy Jam reunion idea that I had initially.
Okay.
And I called a friend, Stan Latham, in LA, who was the director of all the Def Comedy Jams. And he co-managed some of the talent. So I figured he could help me get Martin and bigger people like that at that time.
Right.
And we tried that for like a month or two, and he could never come up with anything. And that's when I was at my son's football practice one day on the phone, like I was always on the phone, sitting in the bleachers, and that name just kept nagging at me.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
So I always could count on Bernie to do what he does. So I called him first, called his people first.
Gotcha.
He was like into it immediately because at that time, if you read his book, he was kind of at a crossroads with his career. He didn't know what was going to go on with his career. And I called Cedric because I was doing all of Cedric's dates up to that point.
Gotcha.
I was his promoter.
Okay.
And I called Steve because I had saw him on a HBO special. I had never seen him do comedy.
Oh, wow.
Saw him on an HBO special with his yellow suit. And I was like, hey, he could be a good addition.
Right.
And so I called him last.
Okay.
But I had the other two. Got him.
That's right, because D.L. Hughley was not...
one person.
Okay, got it.
A lot of people don't know that. So.
Right.
The tour became a phenomenal success, grossing $37 million from packed audiences excited to see these comedy titans together. It spawned a Spike Lee film that doubled the box office haul. Various spin-offs kept the franchise going strong, but behind the scenes, tensions were brewing between two of the kings, Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac. Though they killed on stage together, off-stage their competitiveness created a rift. After the tour's wildly successful 2-year run ended in 1999, there was discussion of reuniting for another round. Instead, the comedians went their separate ways. In particular, Harvey and Mac carried lingering animosity that prevented a reunion. In 2018, D.L. Hughley commented on the failed reunion attempt and touched on the tension between Steve and Bernie.
We were all excited, and the next day it didn't happen. And essentially, Bernie, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve. So, nothing like that ever happens or doesn't happen for a reason. So I was disappointed, but I understood that, those kind of things happen. Steve at one point was, uber successful, and then Bernie started to, because he didn't ever think he would get the opportunity he got. But once he did, America loved him, like we all kind of knew they would. And he decided to go a different way. And no one resented it. We were just like, that's dope for you, man. You go and do your thing.
But Hughley wasn't the only former king of comedy to chime in. During his own interview on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Cedric the Entertainer has this to say.
Yeah. I mean, they were the kind of guys that they both alpha males, they both, they just saw it different, what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they was able to get through it.
Cedric acknowledged both Harvey and Mac had big personalities and clashing perspectives, but felt they ultimately moved past their beef. However, Bernie Mac himself allegedly addressed the simmering feud with Harvey in a controversial 2003 GQ magazine interview. In it, Mac accused Harvey of being jealous of his success and even trying to sabotage him from getting certain movie roles. This shocking claim suggested the tensions between the two comedy kings went deeper than just bruised egos and creative differences. According to Mac, Harvey actively tried to undermine his film career out of bitterness and competitiveness. Years later, in 2014, comedian Damon Williams, who opened for the original Kings of Comedy tour, referenced this infamous GQ interview on the Comedy Hype channel.
So it turned out that Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got Ocean's 11, Steve had reached out to the producers and said he thought he would be a better fit and tried to get the part. And blah, blah.
So multiple sources close to the situation indicated Steve Harvey's jealousy about Bernie Mac's meteoric success after their tour led to sabotage and subterfuge between the two comedians. Their bitter tension would only grow more heated from there. But apparently, Harvey had a different take on the GQ article's claims. On BET's Conversations with Ed Gordon interview series, Harvey directly addressed the supposed feud with Bernie Mac. Harvey admitted he was initially very upset about the accusations, saying they simply weren't true. As Harvey told it, he and Bernie Mac had enjoyed many positive times together over the years. But after that controversial GQ story created bad blood between them, Harvey approached Bernie personally. And according to Harvey, Mac denied ever making those scathing remarks featured in GQ magazine. Despite their past competitiveness, Harvey took Bernie at his word that the comments were fabricated. In Harvey's own words, "I was upset at first because it just wasn't true. Me and Bernie had a lot of good times together, And then this article in GQ came out and put all this vicious stuff in there. B said he never said it. I had to take him at his word for it. So Steve Harvey chalked up the feud exaggerations to media drama and hype. Even with rumored tensions in their past, he maintained faith in Bernie Mac's integrity. Harvey's perspective on this shows that beneath the surface level conflicts, the two legends ultimately respected each other and moved forward. However, fellow comedian Katt Williams tells a very different story. Williams had long greatly admired Bernie Mac's comedy brilliance. Katt felt there was more to the story that hadn't yet been fully unveiled regarding Harvey and Mac's beef. Katt decided to bide his time until 2024 to completely expose the behind-the-scenes drama. In his now viral Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharpe, Williams unloaded a barrage of bold accusations against Harvey related to Bernie Mac. In Williams' view, Harvey was intensely jealous of Mac's talents and resented his success after their Kings of Comedy tour together. Katt alleged that Harvey wrongfully believed he was funnier and more handsome than Bernie and couldn't accept Mac's rising stardom in TV and film. As Williams boldly stated on Club Shay Shay,
then you asked it, why you not a movie star? I didn't want to be a movie star. This the same Negro that hated on Bernie with this same thing. You called Ocean 11 to get that nigga's part. What do you mean you didn't want to be a movie star? So on the behalf of Bernie, I would have to say what I have to say. After Bernie left, them same three guys I'm telling you about, the Kings, they came to me. I was supposed to be the fourth king. I got the offer.
Then what happened?
But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you shit on Bernie. And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you shit on Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king? Fuck you. Why? Because the whole time Bernie was here, you was acting like you was funnier than him. That man was funnier than all of y'all, and y'all thought y'all had one over on him. You thought he was black and ugly, and you were good looking, and he couldn't make it, cause you did. And that ain't the way comedy works. The king is the funniest. Period. Every time. And that's why no audience member was ever swayed. It didn't matter where Bernie went. You think if Bernie went first, he wasn't the king? Get out of here.
in this lengthy diatribe, Williams alleged Harvey resented Bernie Mac's talent and tried to undermine his career out of jealousy. He also claimed Harvey and the other Kings wanted him to join them after Bernie's departure, but he refused out of loyalty to Mac. The accusations of backstabbing and trying to sabotage Bernie's film roles aligned with Mac's own earlier allegations in the controversial GQ interview. So despite Harvey stating publicly that Bernie denied making those claims, Katt Williams clearly feels the truth has not fully come to light yet regarding the two comedy icons' rivalry. But this dive into Katt's incendiary comments doesn't end here. Let's look at his own rocky history with Steve Harvey. In the early 2000s, Katt Williams was blowing up in comedy. Steve Harvey even hyped him up when introducing Katt at the BT Comedy Awards.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the hottest young comedians in the country today. I'm telling you, he got my stamp. This cat is hot. Please put your hands together for Katt Williams.
So publicly, things seemed copacetic between the two comics during Katt's rise. Harvey and Williams even performed together at a 2008 New Year's Eve show in Detroit. The event got billed as the Championship of Comedy, as if Steve and Katt were going to battle it out on stage, though neither claimed responsibility for that promo idea. In a later interview, Katt Williams clarified that the competitive framing had not been his idea at all. As Williams tells it,
Steve Harvey did all that. The whole show, the idea of the show, the plan of the show, all of that was Steve's doing. He did all of that. He waited until I said I was retiring and that was gonna be my last show. Then on his show, he decided he was gonna make it the Championship of Comedy, and he did all that. None of that was my doing. I wasn't even involved in it on that level. He was the initial person supposed to be doing the date. I was only supposed to be coming in to help sell tickets, and then he flipped it and made it something he shouldn't have made it with me. And then tried to flip it again and become the victim.
But Steve wanted to make it clear. He wasn't the one who came up with that whole Championship of Comedy concept. When given the chance to share his side of the story, Harvey shot that notion down quick. He definitely didn't see their New Year's Eve show as some battle for comedy supremacy between the two of them. In an interview, Harvey stated that.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down, because that ain't how I've ever promoted a show. You know, I've always been on tour with some real monsters, man. I toured with the Kings. You know, I've been on stage with Ced, DL, and Bernie Mac at the same time. It's always been a camaraderie. Right. You know what I mean? We're going out here to give the people the best show we can give them. And that's the way we've always promoted comedy shows. Now, you know, to turn this into some type of little beef, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't how I do.
So while the 2008 New Year's show was publicized to play up conflict between the veteran Harvey and upstart Williams, both comedians claim that was solely promotional hype. When they finally hit the stage that New Year's Eve, Katt held nothing back in his set, though he started respectfully, asking the audience to cheer for Steve Harvey, who performed first. Katt even big-upped Steve, calling him an excellent comedian and one of the greatest ever. But once the pleasantries were over, Katt turned his signature hard-hitting comic skills against Harvey.
But he don't want no parts of this in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is some other shit. I don't know why he came out here with all this money y'all spent on them motherfucking tickets and talked about a lady in the audience for 15 goddamn minutes. That nigga should have talked about me the way I've been to talk about his bitch man.
So, in that now famous Club Shay Shay interview, Katt revisited the Detroit gig, and he boldly claimed his performance was the reason Steve Harvey hung up his stand-up comedy shoes for good shortly thereafter.
Steve told you that he stopped doing stand-up because he had 7 TV shows. The only problem is when he stopped stand-up, he didn't have those 7 TV shows. He stopped stand-up because he got in a comedy battle called the Championship of Stand-Up Comedy with one Katt Williams in Detroit in front of 10,000 people and lost because Katt Williams said he was actually bald and that was a wig. And I went in, and that's why he couldn't do stand-up anymore.
So in Katt's telling, he didn't just go toe-to-toe with Harvey that fateful New Year's Eve. He ended Harvey's stand-up career for good. Williams took full credit for Harvey's decision to leave comedy behind shortly after their showdown. Whether or not that's the actual truth, Katt clearly relished the opportunity to recount his epic battle with Harvey years later. While Steve Harvey and Katt Williams have clashed both on and off stage, another player in this drama is controversial rapper Boosie Badass. Boosie has tremendous respect for Katt Williams, and he was quick to stand up for Katt after the shocking Club Shay Shay interview. During an Instagram live session, Boosie made it known he wouldn't tolerate any disrespect.
Man, I ain't got nothing to say about the Katt Williams situation. I don't know about nothing about that. I know he a real nigga to me. Like I say, bro, I came home, I ain't had nothing to man. Invited me to his concert. Got me front row seat. When I was leaving, gave me $15,000. That's real. Everybody else was screaming my name, all kind of celebrity. They ain't even give me a speak. They ain't even speak to me when I came home. That man gave me $15,000. I ain't even know him, bro. That's all I can say. 9 minute celebrities was hollering free Boosie. I saw him, they ain't even acknowledge me. Man gave me $15,000. Doing that. He did that from the heart, man. He knew what I had been through, bro. Man knew what I had been through, bro. I'll never forget that. When I see him, I'm definitely gonna bless him, bro. And I keep 15, 20 in my pocket at all times.
Boosie explained that when he was released from prison, Katt Williams extended incredible generosity. While other stars paid lip service, Katt gave him money, concert tickets, and support. So Boosie is riding for Katt. If Steve Harvey tries disrespecting Williams, he'll have to answer to Boosie. Katt has also received praise from Bernie Mac's daughter, Janice McCullough. After Katt spoke so highly of Bernie during the Club Shay Shay interview, McCullough took to social media to show her appreciation. As she said,
really appreciate what I believe the genuine love and respect that Katt Williams showed my father. It is so much appreciated. Much love and mad props to Katt Williams.
She went on to explain,
I felt like it was genuine. There are some people who have given, you know, my dad his flowers now that he's dead, that I'm looking at like, you know, doggone well, he wasn't doing that when he was alive. And that, not just famous people, just people all across the board.
So both Boosie and even Bernie Mac's daughter herself co-signed Katt, giving the comedian even more credibility. And there it is, folks. The crazy saga continues between Katt Williams, Steve Harvey, and now even Boosie. From Katt's bombshell interview to Steve's shady tweets and videos, this comedy beef is just getting started. Behind the scenes, comedy ain't always laughs. Big egos, rivalries, and strange alliances bring some drama too. Stay tuned for the next episode of this ongoing comedy telenovela. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the latest twists and turns.